Welcome to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and today we're talking with Women Giving Back in one of their collaborative organizations, Transitional Assistance Program through the Catholic Charities Prison Ministry Program, specifically in Loudoun County. Joining me today is Dona D. Thank you so much for being here, Dona. And so this organization is about 3.5 years old, and you've been doing this work for about 3 years. Tell us a little bit about how you got started and what you're actually doing in the Loudoun Adult Detention Center.
Okay. Well, the prison ministry program itself under Catholic Charities has been around for a good while. About 3.5 years ago, a few members of prison ministry decided to try to help people after they got out of the jail. We work with the Loudoun County ADC, and this transitional assistance program was born. And we have a deacon, the Roman Catholic Church, Larry Hamill, and he was fully on board with us trying to do that. And even though we go in on Sundays and do scripture readings with the inmates, this is where they see us and find out that we can help them possibly when they get out.
Well, you pointed out that, you know, jail is different from prison. People are in there for varying amounts of time in jail. So it might be a long time, but it might be a short time. But what they really need is a plan for when they get out.
Right, and that's what we do with people who ask us. They need to ask us. We don't solicit. They know that the program's there. We have brochures, and they can call us. And it's a free call. It is now a free call from the jail for them to call us.
That's fantastic.
Yes,
there was
it
a lot
is.
of controversy around the expensive phone calls in jails recently.
Yes, and so we're on the list with the lawyers and those types of things. We don't get those very often because we're in there a lot. And one inmate will tell another inmate about what we're doing, and they request us to come, and then we do come in. And when we come in, we do an intake and we find out all the things that we think that they need and all the things that they think they need as well. The biggest one, as you and I were speaking to, is housing.
Right.
And because of that, Catholic Charities has started last September a new program called Welcome Home Reentry. And so that is welcoming a prisoner back who has had a problem with their sobriety, and they will pay for a move-in fee in the first 2 weeks at an Oxford house for sober living. And that helps them get on their feet if they can. It's a very short turnaround time, but we've had some success with it. We've got about 12 people in there now. 3 of them are women. And so we really had these programs keep being born from prison ministry, and it works very, very well. It's hard, but it works very, very well. But once we go in and try to assume that they have some need to talk to us, they will tell us what they need. And many times, probably a third of the time, they really don't need us. They just need to know what to do on the outside, or we can help with their families and so on.
So communications, guidance, resources.
Right.
And so you were talking a little bit about the numbers, the proportion of women to men specifically out in Loudoun, and it's very disproportionate.
Right, there's 400 men in there and 49 women.
Right, and women have a different, I have several times had Friends of Guest House here on the show talking about their reentry program, which can only serve 26 women at a time.
Right.
But you know, a lot of times many of these women have families, and that means children, and trying to reunite women with their families to get them housing, and then to work on issues like trying to find employment for them. You know, these are the fundamental challenges from the jailhouse door back to stability.
And some of them are really hard. Housing is very hard. Employment can be, although we can call their former employer employer and see if they want them back, and many times they do. Getting an ID is really hard. Thinking about medical care when you get out, and how are you going to get your prescriptions and so on. And another need that every single one of them that I've taken care of has is the need for clothing.
Right.
And let me tell you how that evolves. A woman gets incarcerated, man too, but a woman gets incarcerated. Within a short period of time, they find out they're not going to pay their rent, and everything that they have is confiscated. If they don't come and pick it up, if there's no one to do that, then it's sold at auction. So they don't have clothing. The other thing is that I don't think anybody would really think of going to prison for the cuisine. So that,
yeah, right.
So that while they're in prison, they gain or lose weight, and I mean really gain and lose weight. Sometimes 20 to 30 pounds.
Wow.
So even the clothing that they have in there is not going to fit them, so they're going to come out into the world as a returning citizen in a sweatsuit in July. And you know, some of our women have been arrested in a cocktail dress and 6-inch heels, those types of things. So our friends at Women Giving Back have made this piece of our intake very easy. And it's something that I can say to almost every woman, whether we're going to take them into TAP or not, I can get clothing for you. I know how to do that. And it's only because of Women Giving Back that I can say things like that with absolute certainty. I've been working with them now for about almost as long as I've been working in TAP. And I've really seen them grow.
Yes,
So
their list of partner organizations on their website is enormous, just enormous, the number of organizations they work with.
But the women, part of all of us as women is how we look and so on. Whether I bring clothing for them or whether they go and shop themselves at one of the shopping days, it is just the respect that they have for people that are coming in there and just wanting to help them. When I first started working with them, they would ask me, how old is she? What color's her hair? What's her favorite color? So now when I do intake, I ask them, what's your favorite color? What do you like to wear? You know, and stuff like that. And so that it's almost like Christmas when they get out. It's like, I would have chosen this for myself. I've had many people say that. I would have chosen this for myself. And I said, these folks are very good at that. We've had special instances. I had one about, I guess it was about a month and a half ago, where an inmate had sent a request for TAP because she was going to court, and it was a jury trial. And she had no suitable clothing. She had no suitable clothing, and her husband said, I don't know how to do this for you. He said, I could pay somebody to go do it, and I told him, keep your money. We have some friends here that would do that. And they did 2 really nice outfits for her to choose from. We took her to her attorney's office, so she had them for court. And then many times, depending on the volunteers that they have at Women Giving Back, they will bundle like if they know somebody's going back to work and they're wanting to be a receptionist or whatever, they'll bundle things together. So they have a skirt, they have a jacket, they have jewelry and shoes,
right?
All in this bundle, you know, for them, and 5 or 6 of those. And it's overwhelming for them when they see how generous that this agency is. And
well, it's one less thing to think about. Personally, I have a tough time dressing myself. Just on any given day, it's tough, really. I'm not one of those people who just naturally has any sense of style. So to have somebody pick out things that are appropriate to whether you have to go to court or you're going for a job or an interview or you're starting an office job would be an enormous relief. It would be for me to have somebody pick out things for me. And so there's so many different levels to this too. So you've got volunteers who are actually helping put together, we'll call them reentry stylists. I really like that. You've got people who generously donate the clothes to Women Giving Back. You've got people who are sorting through the clothes at this facility and storing them and tagging them and marking them. And then you've got the shopping days too, where these women who've been vetted through caseworkers can come and actually shop and by picking out a certain number of items.
And what I do is go online now and get my to-go bag and then go pick it up and say hi to my friends there. It's a big relief for me. It really is a big relief for them too as well.
And it makes all the difference. Let's face it, how we show up, particularly women, how we show up truly is judged by everyone. I do believe that women are judged differently. It's our hair, it's our clothes, it's whether we're wearing makeup or we're not. It's everything. And so women, I think, are very hypersensitive to how they look to the rest of the world and what their clothes and their outfit says about who they are.
Sure. And twice a year, including Christmas, women can go in there that have been there before, as long as they're registered through like Catholic Charities or any other organization that works with them. And there are stylists there. There are people that talk about makeup. There's people that talk about stress and stress relief and so on at these little events that they have for them. And I've found it to be very endearing that some of them are for us, you know, that they have those people in there to do a massage for the people that are helping other people. It's just been a wonderful partnership, and it just gets better and better. There's just no doubt about it. And it takes that one piece of our intake, which the men don't have, but one piece of the intake where we certainly say, okay, I have that, and I can make them feel better about it, and it makes us feel better to do that.
Well, I think this is, again, speaks to the wonderful community of nonprofits and collaboration we have here in Northern Virginia, and we are indeed very fortunate. Other places in Virginia don't have this wealth of collaboration and organizations recognizing and doing this kind of work, so I always feel that we are so fortunate. If people are interested in working specifically doing ministries, prison ministries, and you are working in Loudoun County, but actually Catholic Charities has these all over the area, so people can volunteer where they are.
And the Welcome Home Reentry program is for all of Northern Virginia. So there are some people in the Welcome Home Reentry program, or they're from the Fairfax Jail or from Prince William.
So can people just go online? Is that the best way?
Right, the Catholic Charities. It's Catholic Charities, the Diocese of Arlington, which is ccda.net.
Okay.
.org.
ccda.net.
And it's a Welcome Home Reentry program.
Well, that's fantastic. I so appreciate you being here, Donna. This has been a wealth of information that I did not know. And we will be joined in our second segment by Nicole Moore, who is the Operations Manager at Women Giving Back.
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. Our whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
Thanks.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
They were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Welcome back to Your Need to Know. We are talking with Women Giving Back. Joining me in this segment is Nicole Moore. She is the operations manager for Women Giving Back, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
This is an amazing organization, and I knew of your work. I've actually sent people to your organization to donate clothes, but when I looked at the list on your website of partners, I was blown away. I either sit on the boards, I've had them on these shows, but it is astonishing how many organizations you partner with, because there's only 2 of you.
That is correct. We actually just hired our 2nd staff member in January, and we partner with close to 200 organizations that are serving the community. So it's amazing. A lot of this growth happened over the last 2 years. The board really saw a need to expand. They couldn't do it all on their own, so they started with their first staff member, which was me, and I was brought on board 2 years ago, and I've been enjoying it ever since. And you know, we're filling a lot of need in the community.
You clearly are with that many partnerships, but start back at the beginning, back in 2007, how did this idea come about? What were the women who saw this need and then saw a path forward?
Well, the 3 founders, they still sit on the board of directors. They were working on another nonprofit, HomeAid Northern Virginia, and they are the charitable arm of the Northern Virginia Building Industry Association.
So there you go.
So they provide the sticks and bricks and of helping shelters, transitional housings, kind of rebuild or also renovate homes and affordable housing in the area. So they were tasked with finding how to get other women involved, because a lot of the home building industry is male dominated.
Yes, it is.
So they wanted to see how to reach out to other women to get them involved. So they interviewed a lot of their partners, their shelter partners, and a lot of the case managers said that the biggest need they have is clothing for the women. A lot of them are fleeing domestic violence when they come into the shelters, and they are leaving with literally nothing but the clothes on their back. So the founders said, we can do this. So they started in a little tiny closet in the building industry office, and it just grew from there. 11 years later, they have a 13,000 square foot warehouse and boutique and office space, and we're serving about 7,000 women and children a year.
That's amazing. And that's something we should talk about, is the fact that it's not just women's clothing, it is children's clothing as well. I mean, you're right. When people flee a domestic violence situation or any situation where all you can take is your car keys and your kids, you've got to rebuild from scratch. And there is an abundance of clothing in this area. I mean, it's for a lot of different reasons, but trying to put it all in one place where it's easy for people to get to, because probably transportation for some people is also a problem.
Yes, and that was a big need that I saw pretty much right when I started working, is that they don't have the access to get to Sterling, where our boutique's located. There's no public transportation nearby. So there was a bag-to-go program already implemented. We just needed to expand it and highlight it a little bit more. So the bag-to-go is just basically a form. Originally was filled out by paper. A case manager would fill it out with their client's information, their age, what kind of clothes they're looking for, and then a volunteer would get the request and then shop for the client. And then pack it up, and then the case manager would pick it up. And we see a lot of bag-to-go requests from the reentry programs like TAP or Friends of Guest House. Also a lot of domestic violence programs take advantage of it, and then FBI victim services. A lot of FBI agents that are serving some victims in the area will put in a request for maybe court clothes when they go to testify against their trafficker. And it's really impactful, because the volunteer's shopping for somebody, or we're serving someone that we would never even meet. We're just going off the information that we have, and it's hard to shop for someone else. But I'm amazed by how much love goes into these bags that the volunteers put together. They look for every single item, details, earrings, necklaces, to put in with it.
True stylists. I mean, to me, this is like my daughter naturally has this ability. She's really suffered trying to help me dress myself, and the entire time she's known me, it's hit or miss. But she really has a gift for that, and she enjoys doing it. And I am in awe of people who really can put together belts and scarves and shoes and things and make it look like $1 million just out of whatever you happen to have in your closet. That is a gift. I want to ask you about the Naomi Project because, you know, I sit on the board of Bright Paths. That's one of our programs. And that program supports, you know, women, pregnant women and new mothers who are at risk. And no time in your life does your body and clothing requirements change more than when you are in the 9-month arc of pregnancy and then after pregnancy, and then you've got a baby. You've got an infant that needs clothes too.
Right.
So describe some of the things that you're looking for, or the kinds of things that you most need.
Well, we take all types of clothing, unlike some career focus agencies. A lot of the women need casual clothing because they just need the suits for an interview. It's not going to be the industry that they're working in. So they need all types. So we do have a maternity section that a lot of the Naomi women come and shop in, and then we have kids clothing as well, from infants all the way to teen girls and boys. Some men's mixed into teen boys because the boys are so big.
Yeah, they're the size
days.
of grown men, right?
Yeah, so it is a lot of variety of clothing. And we really pride ourselves on what we put out in the boutique because we want the women to feel good. If it's not something you would share with your neighbor.
Right, it needs to be clean.
It needs to be
no
clean.
stains, no rips.
We talk about ready to wear and just
ready to wear
with dignity.
Right.
Something that they'll feel good and confident about, especially with the kids too, because the kids really want to fit in with their peers. They don't need to take on the adult problems that their parents are going through if they're in the shelter. You know, they still want to fit in at school and not kind of wear the poverty on themselves.
Exactly.
So, you know, we do pride ourselves on what we put out on the floor for the kids too. And the volunteers love helping the kids shop for clothes. When mom's shopping for herself, we have volunteers that personal shop for the kids.
Well, it sounds
too.
like with only 2 staff members, it must take an army of volunteers to make this go.
It does, and we have over 2,000 volunteers on our database, about 800 regular volunteers that we can call to help with anything from organizing and sorting the donations to personal shopping with the client to also putting bag-to-goes for clients together. We also started a community distribution partner program where we have so blessed with so much clothes that we're able to support other organizations like we were starting small. We don't have the capacity or the space to hold so much clothing. They can actually go online and order boxes of clothing and then we can have it delivered by a volunteer. So we have a lot of volunteer drivers too that go all over Northern Virginia, Maryland, and DC. They'll deliver the clothes and then they will distribute it to their clients free of charge.
See, that makes so much sense. That is you figured out the economies of efficiency because you're right, most places can't, storage space is the big problem. You know, we have a small food pantry, Bright Paths does, but when we were known more for food distribution, that was our challenge too, is where do you get the space necessary to keep all that food on site, on hand. Right. So you're kind of an off-site warehouse.
Yes, we try to make it easier. We're trying to be a hub for the agencies that are serving in the greater Washington metro area. So, and then we make it easy for them just to go online, order a box of women's clothes or a box of kids' clothes, and they can give us the sizes and the seasons, because we do have off-season storage too, unlike some agencies where we can't accept donations of fall clothes while we're in summer. We are able to store that clothes.
And that's important too, because there's a lot of thrift shops and consignment shops and that sort of thing in this area, and they don't want things that are out of season. However, when the seasons shift, you still need inventory to put out on the floor immediately, right? When you're switching the season. So you're very fortunate to have the ability to store things so that, you know, when it's back to school, you're putting out fall clothes. That's fantastic. So I looked at your website. You have a very well-tuned calendar, which is the best place in the world to look for when you're open, when the shopping days are, is that calendar.
Yes, so we keep our calendar on our website of the shopping days. That we do also send out email blasts to all of our case manager partners that we work with. But we currently use Sign Up Genius for any volunteer opportunities.
That's perfect.
We're awarded a grant recently for a new volunteer software because we are pretty much volunteer driven, so we needed the tools in order to be more efficient. So we're hoping to roll that out by the end of the year. Which we'll be able to assign specific jobs for each volunteer
You know, and I think that's what people want. I mean, sometimes you don't know what your schedule is, but it's like you have this Thursday evening 3, or you have next Saturday, and it's easy, and that's one less person you have to hire to actually coordinate volunteer hours too.
Right.
So I think that's a great use of technology and a great use of grant funds. Talk about clothing drives and what other organizations can do as far as people are like, well, I want to help. You can certainly clean out your own closet of things that are too big or too small, which is how women usually clean out their closets. It's too big or too small. But you could actually do something in your neighborhood. You could do something. So how would someone do that?
So we actually have a donation drive guide online to give you the language for an email blast of what we are in need of or what we're collecting. We have corporations that put in a donation box. We have donation boxes with our logos on it. They'll do a drive maybe for a week for all their staff to bring in clothing.
That's great.
And then a lot of them wrap up the week by coming in, bringing in the donations, and actually spending 3 hours volunteering with us. And we're able, because of our space, we're able to support large groups. We've had 400 students from George Mason's Honor College in the summer. So we can support large volunteer groups, and it's really impactful. It shows the corporations' commitment to the community to want to give back to the community that they're.
You know, and there's so
they're
many
in.
HR directors too who are looking for our employees want to volunteer. We're trying to match them up with organizations to do the kind of work they want to do, and to both do a clothing drive and then have them help sort is perfect. I wouldn't have even thought of that. So that's great intel. What about other ways that people can donate? If you've got somebody, and I'm assuming, you know, when people need to clean out a house for whatever reason, they need to make an appointment. Would that be the best thing?
So they can just go look on our calendar.
Okay.
It'll say when our donation dates are. It varies from week to week because we are pretty much volunteer operated. But whenever you see a donation time slot, you can come anytime and drop off the donations. Perfect. And then you're more than welcome to ask for a tour too. We love showing off the space when you drop off.
Well, you know, and that's fantastic. I have not been out to your site, I confess, even though I have sent people out there numerous times. They're like, I have all these beautiful suits, and where do I take them? I'm like, I know exactly where you take them, and I send them the link to your website.
Okay.
So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, Nancy. This has been fantastic. And I hope all of our viewers know that this is a very worthy organization that is collaborating with 200 other organizations to provide clothing where it's most needed. So check out their website. It's womengivingback.org. This is what you need to know.